In a busy city where time always seemed to be running out, there lived a young man named Lucas, 28 years old, who felt trapped in his own life. Every day was the same, waking up early, enduring chaotic traffic, working long hours at a job that brought him no satisfaction, and returning home exhausted with no energy left to enjoy the rest of the day. Lucas would look around and see people who seemed happy, accomplished, and successful. He constantly compared himself to them and felt even more frustrated. Why isn't my life like theirs? And he wondered, questioning if he would ever find meaning in what he did. He felt a constant weight on his chest, as if carrying the world on his shoulders. His reflection in the mirror showed a tired face, eyes without sparkle, and an expression of defeat. It seemed that no matter how hard he tried, nothing ever changed. But what Lucas didn't know was that everything was about to change. An unexpected encounter would make him see his life in a completely new way. If you've ever felt stuck in your own life and want to discover how to change your perspective, subscribe now to follow this inspiring journey. Together, we'll learn to see life with new eyes. One day after another exhausting day at work, Lucas decided to take a walk through a quiet park before heading home. The soft glow of streetlights illuminated the ground, covered with dry leaves, and the distant sound of laughter echoed in the cool night air. As he wandered aimlessly, he noticed an elderly man sitting on a bench carving a small piece of wood. The craftsman had silver hair and hands roughened by time, but his movements were calm and precise. A serene smile graced his face as he worked. Lucas felt curious and approached him. "What are you doing?" he asked, observing the rough and irregular piece of wood in the man's hands. "What does it look like?" replied the craftsman, without taking his eyes off the piece. "I'm creating something beautiful." Lucas frowned, confused. "But that doesn't look special," he commented, pointing to the raw wood. The craftsman chuckled softly and said, "Not yet. But it all depends on how you look at it. To me, this wood is already beautiful, because I see the potential within it." Intrigued, Lucas sat down next to the craftsman. They talked for hours, and the man explained that he had spent much of his life frustrated, trying to control things that were beyond his reach. "Until I realized that the problem wasn't in the world out there, but in how I saw the world. When I changed my perspective, everything changed." He paused his carving for a moment, looked directly into Lucas's eyes, and continued. "Life is like this wood. Sometimes it seems rough, imperfect, and worthless. But all it takes is seeing the potential and dedicating time and effort to transform it. What we see as obstacles are just opportunities in disguise." Then the craftsman handed Lucas a small piece of raw wood and said, "Take this. Work on it whenever you feel stuck. Remember, what we see as an obstacle may just be raw material waiting to be transformed." Lucas held the wood in his hands, feeling its rough and uneven texture. He realized that he had been seeing his life as flawed and worthless, when in reality it was full of potential, waiting for a new perspective. At that moment, something inside him began to shift. From that day on, Lucas decided to change the way he viewed life. He began to see challenges not as obstacles, but as opportunities to grow. Whenever he felt frustrated or overwhelmed, he would take out the piece of wood the craftsman had given him and remember the man's words. What we see as an obstacle may just be raw material waiting to be transformed. He started making small changes in his daily routine. Instead of complaining about traffic, he used the time to listen to inspiring podcasts or learn something new. At work, he began looking for ways to improve his skills and make his tasks more meaningful. For instance, he proposed a new strategy to his team that streamlined their workflow, earning praise from his superiors and boosting his confidence. At home, he dedicated himself to hobbies he had always wanted to explore, like painting and gardening. He discovered that nurturing plants brought him a sense of calm and purpose he hadn't felt in years. Gradually, Lucas noticed his mindset shifting. He began to feel lighter, as if an invisible weight had been lifted from his shoulders. The people around him noticed the difference. He smiled more, was more present in conversations, and radiated a quiet confidence. His co-workers started seeking him out for advice, and his friends commented on how much happier and more fulfilled he seemed. One day, while walking through the same park where he met the craftsman, Lucas saw the man again. He ran up to him, emotional. Hans said, "Master, your words changed my life. I started seeing the world differently, and with that, everything around me began to change too. I've achieved things I once thought were impossible." The craftsman smiled and replied, "I didn't do anything except show you what was already inside you. Remember, the perspective we choose determines the life we live. You have the power to transform any situation as long as you choose to see it positively." At that moment, Lucas understood that the power to transform his life had always been in his hands. He continued applying this new mindset to all areas of his life, and he never felt trapped again. Now he shared his experience with others, inspiring them to change their own perspectives and find meaning amidst challenges. Lucas learned that life doesn't change when circumstances change, but when you change the way you see those circumstances. He realized he had been stuck because he chose to see his life as flawed and worthless, when in reality it was full of potential, waiting for a new perspective. So I invite you to reflect. How have you been viewing your life? What are the obstacles that you can transform into opportunities? Remember, it all depends on the perspective you choose to adopt. Here are some powerful lessons you can apply today. Look beyond appearances. What seems like an obstacle may be an opportunity in disguise. Practice gratitude. Focus on what you have, not what you lack. Appreciate the small victories. Reinterpret challenges. Instead of complaining, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Believe in your potential. Just like raw wood, you have the power within you to transform. If this story touched your heart, share in the comments below your city or region and a difficult situation you're facing. Your story might inspire others to change their own perspectives. And here's a challenge for you. In the next 24 hours, try to see a challenge you're facing as a hidden opportunity. It could be something simple, like turning a tiring routine into a learning moment, or something bigger, like rethinking a goal that seemed impossible. Share in the comments what you chose to do. Let's spread more positivity and transformation together. If you enjoyed this message, subscribe to the channel for more inspiring stories like this one. Together, we can learn to change our perspective and transform our lives. Remember, life is like raw wood in the hands of a craftsman. What you do with it depends on how you see it. You are stronger than you think, and the power to transform your life has always been in your hands. Start today, even if it's with a small step, and see how each shift in perspective can bring more light to your path.